round figures, was $200,000.
Uh-huh.
What did you sell it for?
235.9.
Wait a minute. Your after repaired value was 200. You're selling it on work for equity for 235.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with that?
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Connor.
We're talking real deals today. Get a pad and a pen to write down the details of these deals. Most importantly, the takeaways and the lessons. All right, Crystal. Well, since we ran out of time last time talking deals, if you would go first, tell us about your deal, all the details about it. All I know is that you told us last time this deal was sort of different, got some nuances to it. I don't know what that's all about, but I've got my pen ready to go.
Yeah, and then Tim went and stole my thunder.
Who stole your thunder?
Tim.
What did Tim do?
He did the very last one. You let him go, and I hadn't gotten to go, and he had a similar type of deal. I'm like, really?
Well, here's the news. We probably have a lot of people here on this Zoom that were not with us last time.
It doesn't matter, because I'm sure that there's going to be parts that will be different. But I just thought it was funny because then I was like, well, stole my thunder, because I was like, yeah, mine's so different. All right, so got the deal by referral. So it was from a previous seller.
So when you said you got it by referral, a previous seller, so are you saying you bought a property, you bought a house from a seller, and then those people referred you to another owner of a property that wanted to sell their house?
Correct.
All right, so I got another question. Did you ask for that referral specifically, or did they just do it on their own organically?
It was organic. They were talking about how much I helped them.
Wow. So, there's already one takeaway right there, folks. There's already one takeaway right there. When you buy a property from a seller, go ahead and at least plant the seed and ask for referrals, right?
Yep.
Go ahead and plant that seed, ask for referrals. When you get a referral, Crystal, do you give a gift, or is there any kind of specific way that you thank a seller for a referral, or what?
Yep. I always do. I used to always do gift baskets, and we just started doing gift cards this last 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much is the gift card?
$350.
Woo! My lands. What kind of gift card do you give?
I'm using Amazon now, since I hate to be that person that's feeding Amazon's pocket, but that's the most universal. It's the easiest.
Wow, that's a very nice gift. But then of $350. But then again, what are your average profits on your deals now?
We're at, the last time I ran the numbers, it was 86.
86,000? 86,000. Yeah, the 350 probably is not going to hurt your bank account. And hey, but I'll tell you what, $350, that's a writer downer. That's a very valuable thank you gift that you have given, for the referral. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and frankly, most people then are going to start, because we've actually had that happen where people, now they're kind of curious. Oh, well, how else can I help you?
Well, what they're really asking is, how else can I get another $350 gift card?
Precisely. So we have on occasion had some, it's not everybody, so don't go off track on that, but we've occasionally had people then that are just sending things in like, oh, I just saw this other one for sale. And so you suddenly have another little bird dog out there for you. So
yeah. As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, I had one of our private lenders come up to me after church. Let's see here. This is this past Sunday night. And he said, Jay, I just saw a for sale by owner sign go up. Looks like the house needs some rehabbing. And he says, I'm going to take a picture of the for sale by owner sign and text it to you. I said, send it on, because when I get those referrals, I give a very nice thank you gift as well. Go ahead, Crystal.
There you go. Okay, so got it by referral. They were asking 128,000. It's a 2-1, but it's in a great community. It needed some work. We got an estimate from the contractor of 18,000. However, we had made the decision. We had somebody that has been in our world that wanted a work for equity option. And so we had been kind of looking at some of our upcoming options or opportunities that might fit for this person, because they actually had a pre-approval, but it was for a substantially smaller amount than most of what's going to get you anything around here. And so they felt like it was a fit. So we decided to purchase it as a work for equity. When we were looking at it and we ran the numbers, so if you did the Mayo on it, sorry, I didn't tell you the after repaired value. The after repaired value was actually 203,000. I don't know, in some other little numbers, but I averaged it out to 200,000 just to run my Mayo formula. So I did Mayo at 200,000, and I did it with 18,000 in repairs, and came up with 120, which my offer would have been 110. In conversation with the sellers, they were pretty motivated. This is a secondary property. They'd had tenants in it previously. They hadn't had the best time ever with it, and so they really wanted out. So I offered them 96, and they took it.
So I'm taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
So did you say their asking price was 180,000?
No, 128,000.
Oh, 128. Okay. I was getting pretty excited about that story. All right.
It's not as exciting. Sorry.
So no, it is pretty exciting. So their asking was 128.
Correct.
The rehab was budgeted or figured at 18. The R's 200. Your Mayo formula was 110. Okay, we got folks here on this Zoom training that don't have a clue what Mayo is. So let everybody know, what does Mayo stand for and what is the formula. And listen, if you're on this Zoom and you don't know what Mayo stands for, you need to write this. You need to write this down, because what Crystal is going to share with you right now is what is the most that you should pay for a property when you're using all cash, whether it's your own cash or it is a private lender's, all their cash. In other words, when you're not buying on terms is what I'm saying, right? You're not buying creatively. You're not buying with seller financing. You're not buying subject to the existing note, which Willie's going to talk about, when you're paying all cash. So, Crystal, what does Mayo stand for, and what is the Mayo formula?
So Mayo is maximum allowable offer, and the formula is your after repaired value times 70% minus your repairs. That's going to give you your Mayo. However, we take into account Murphy. So typically in the price point I'm talking about, this $200,000 price point, I'm going to subtract an additional 10,000 to give me room. So my offer coming out the gate isn't going to be that 120,000 that I told you I got. It's going to be the 110,000. That's where my offer is going to be.
But you bought it for, what'd you say, 96?
96.
How'd you come up with that figure?
So we were playing around with some of the numbers and some of the potentials of things that could be done to bring up the condition of the property for a homeowner and to get her mortgage ready. So not what I would do to get it into a state where I was going to either rent it or potentially sell it. But some of the things she was talking about doing. And I thought, well, to make sure that I can let her have credit, because I could have gone two ways. So just for everybody's benefit, not to get too complicated, but I could have gone two different ways. A lot of the things she's talking about, I could have said, well, you could do those. I'm just not going to give you credit for all of them. Or in this instance, I thought, well, I can start in the negotiation to see, and if we can incorporate some of those and I get it at a low enough price, it's a win-win for both of us. So that's what we had done.
So you sort of alluded to it right there, but in what kind of way did you justify the offer of 96? They're asking 128.
Yeah. So as a seasoned investor, I'm used to looking at properties that don't look pretty, and I can see past that. But even the homeowners can't often see past that. So they'd had tenants in the property, and it was dirty. It was yucky looking, which a great cleaner can fix a lot of things, and a good coat of paint can too. But so I just had explained that, you know, it's dated. There's a lot of things we're going to need to do. There's a lot of hidden things that we're all not necessarily seeing right now. And we've got to take all of that in consideration. So we had a conversation about all the different facets of things I thought were going to need to be done to justify my offer, as well as the fact of, and this is just part of my negotiation with any seller, you know, I also have to be able to pay closing costs. I'm going to have to market this property. They didn't know I had a potential buyer right now, because it wasn't finalized. We hadn't signed any documents anyway, so it was still legit. I didn't have a final on it. I've got to do all the legwork to get this into a state where that can happen. And obviously, we know there's substantial repairs that need to happen. So,
All right. Now, you mentioned your exit strategy being to sell it on work for equity, right?
Yeah.
So we've got folks here on the Zoom that have heard that term, but they really don't know what that looks like. So when you say sell on work for equity, how would you like, you know, in a 2-minute seminar, summarize what that means and what that looks like?
Work for equity, the quickest version is that instead of doing all the rehab on the property and selling it in perfect condition, I'm going to allow a tenant buyer to move into the property, and while they reside there, they can be completing projects to start to get credit towards their purchase. So I'm going to start reducing the overall purchase amount, incorporating that they've completed those tasks. Of course, they have to prove it was done by a licensed contractor. I have to approve the scope of work. I have to approve that it was finalized properly before any credit is given.
So in other words, what you're saying is work for equity really is a type of selling on rent to own, right?
Correct.
So you're selling on rent to own or lease purchase. It's one and the same thing, no difference. But you are giving credit for their work. Now, I'll share with everybody what I typically do. You share with what you do. When I'm giving a rent to own buyer credit for work they do to the house, typically I'm going to be giving them about 50% credit towards their work on the house. And what I do is I know what the renovation or rehab budget would cost me if I'm getting it ready to put in the multiple listing service. Then I know what I'd be paying my general contractors or my crew to do it. But if I'm selling on a rent to own in the as-is condition, I'm going to take about 50% of that once the work is done, of course, and reduce the price by that amount. Does that align with what you're doing, Crystal, or are you doing something different?
No, the way that we do it is we do get the estimate, and then typically we determine what we think is reasonable, and it depends on the scope of work, right? So if it's an HVAC unit, I'm going to give them, this is just the way that I do it, I'm going to give them credit for what I would have to pay for it because they have to hire a licensed contractor. But if it's painting, you know, I might have to pay $5 a square foot. I'll probably give them credit for $3.50 a square foot because they're doing the painting. So things like that. So what we do is we take that, we outline the entire budget, and then we outline the scope of work. We put timelines to that, and each line item has a dollar amount. And as they're completed, that's just reduced from the price. And so, and part of the contract states that they have to be meeting those timelines, and or that's potential breach of contract, so that we don't have people that are in the house and 8 months have passed and they've done 0 projects, and now you feel like, what's my recourse?
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's how we do it. We obviously, if we were to, the budget has to align with what we've negotiated on the price in order for that to work.
Sure.
What we did here.
Right. So is that the exit strategy you did? Did they move in?
Yes.
Okay. That triggers another couple of questions. So your ARV, round figures, was $200,000. What did you sell it for?
$235,900.
Wait a minute. Your after repaired value was $200. You're selling it on work for equity for $235,000. How did you come up with that?
We multiplied it times, I always do times 10% or times 15%. I take a look at how much that changes the purchase price, and I figure out what's my average on that. So, as well as a conversation with my realtor, but I'm just pricing it up because I'm giving them a year's time, and I want to make sure that I've taken into account any potential appreciation, as well as as we know, you can always reduce the price, but you can never increase the price. So,
yeah. Well, no need to shoot yourself in the foot on that value of the house going up over the next 12 months.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide. And download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.